Welcome to the Full-Time FBA Show. In each episode, it's our goal to help you turn part-time hours into a full-time income selling almost anything on Amazon. And now, your hosts of the show, Stephen and Rebecca Smotherman.
Welcome to episode number 326 of the Full-Time FBA Show. Today we're talking about your Amazon Replen sourcing starter kit. And to discuss this today with me is my wife, Rebecca, my business partner. What's up, Rebecca?
I am so excited about this because replens are the way to go. They have been for years, but we have recently declared 2026 to be the year of the replen. And we really want to make sure that you are best equipped for making that happen this year. So we want to give you all the things to get started with.
Yeah, so let's jump into this topic on this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show.
Before we get into today's topic, I want to make sure you're signed up to get all the latest news and free trainings and all the things sent to your inbox. For the Full-Time FBA newsletter, it's at fulltimefba.com/subscribe to get signed up. So make sure you are signed up on that list and don't miss out on anything that we've got upcoming. We'll be talking more at the end of the show about what our next training is. But fulltimefba.com/subscribe will make sure that you never miss out on anything. And today we're talking about something that truly is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your Amazon business. I know it was for us. I very distinctly remember this shift for us. But now we are 15 years into selling full-time on Amazon, and we just still are fully convinced that most established Amazon sellers don't have a problem with finding products in general. They don't have a product problem. They really have a problem with having a system for finding those products. They find products when they source, but they don't have a system in place for their sourcing. So solving that problem of systems for sourcing is the way to go. And we want to help you get started with that in this Replen sourcing starter kit.
Yeah, I mean, some Amazon sellers who are struggling, they just think the solution is, I just need to go get more inventory. I just need more products. That's the answer. I just need to find more stuff to sell. If I can just find more stuff, that's going to fix all the problems. But more products, more inventory just for the sake of having more inventory, that doesn't move the needle. It just creates more chaos.
Yeah, more products just for the sake of more products isn't what does it. What actually will change your business is building a replen system. And I know for us, that happened. We were able to take our inventory to the next level when we moved to fewer SKUs. And that's what having replens does for you. It's not moving to more and more SKUs. It's moving to fewer SKUs that are selling better. So building a replen system puts that in place in your Amazon inventory. It's something that will create steady cash flow for your business. It will bring predictability to your sales, which means that you can plan better for the future. And it will give you momentum in growing and scaling your business in a marketplace that just honestly doesn't really feel very stable at times, especially right now. So today we're going to walk you through our real world replen setup. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we're talking about today that just seems like tongue twisters. Real world replen setup.
Yeah.
So this is what we use inside our own Amazon business. It's not hypothetical. We're not giving you just a list of things that we think sound great. This is what we actually run our business on in the day-to-day.
Yeah, and what actually brings peace to our business dealings, because, you know, we're not always having to go out and find the next inventory item and find the next sale. And, you know, we just continually, and our main goal is to just find items that sell quickly that we can reorder on a consistent basis. And it just makes it a lot more easy. And just so you know, when we're talking about this whole Replen sourcing starter kit, we're going to be talking about some tools. And for every tool that we mention, we're going to give you both the free option and the paid option. Now, in every situation, the free option is going to give you just a little hint of helpfulness. And the paid option is going to give you a whole lot more that's going to help bring real results to it. But we want to help make sure that you are aware that there are both options, free options and paid options. Because overall, smart sellers, they build their systems first, and then they only add subscriptions to tools tools when the system justifies it. So let's get into it.
All right. So before we get into talking about tools, let's zoom out just for a second about why do we even really need any tools for a sourcing system for replens. So a replen system is not about just finding one amazing product. If you're thinking private label and having that one product that you sell millions of units, that's not what this is. A replen sourcing system is about building a whole lineup of products for your Amazon inventory that you can buy again and again to sell again and again. It's building up that lineup of products, however many SKUs that takes for you, however many units you're selling on a monthly basis. That all is going to vary, and you'll use the data to figure all of that out. But you want to be able to have that lineup that you can reorder with confidence, so that instead of every week you're sitting down and thinking, okay, where am I going to go to source this week? Where are all the good sales? Where do I have some coupons? Those are great things you want to use also, but replen ordering depends on consistency, and that does not depend on sales or coupons. So having that lineup is going to help you reduce decision fatigue about where to source and how you're going to find the cash flow moving forward. It's all going to put all of that together into place because it's all a product of this system. And it's going to replace panic sourcing that you might make decisions based on, I just need something, anything, with intentional buying decisions. You're going to have a system in place, a list of items that you're reordering that you've worked on building up over time. It takes time to ramp it up, but it will be intentional and planned out moving forward.
All right, let's get into the details of the Replen sourcing kit. And basically, this is what we would include in a Replen starter kit if we could just hand it to you through the podcast waves. So the first is a scanning app or a sourcing app. I mean, you can absolutely use the Amazon seller app. It's free. It works well. It has a lot of different options, and it gets you to where you're going. With it being free, it's really good if you're just getting started and you're like, I don't want to put any money into any apps yet. But the sourcing app from Amazon, it's kind of limited. And so there are other options to kind of help you take things further.
Yeah, once you are actually sourcing regularly, if you're out in stores doing retail arbitrage on any type of regular basis, having built up speed really matters. This is something we worked on in recent months in our retail arbitrage sourcing sprint. We did speed drills. And so for something like that, you're going to want to have a paid tool like Seller 365 Scoutify, which gives you faster, more practical data, helps you make decisions quicker while you're standing in an aisle trying to make a decision. This isn't a situation where you want to scan and get partial data and then go home and research it more later, but you want to be able to have all of the data you need at your fingertips. Scoutify will give you that so that you can make a decision right there about, I'm either going to buy this or I'm going to leave it behind. And when you're building a replen system, that really is something that you want to be able to do, is make those decisions in the store aisle as you're going. So that first tool in your starter kit is your scanning app. And before we get on to the next item, I just want to say that we're not going to give you links for these tools as we go. We're going to give all of those links in the show notes for this episode. So if there's anything we're talking about that you want to check out, be sure and go to fulltimefba.com/326 for the show notes for this episode to get all those links.
Yeah, that sounds great. And to go along with your scanning app is Keepa. And we talk about Keepa almost every episode, so you know how important it is. And the free version is really great. That gets you started. You can absolutely begin there. With the free version of Keepa, you get the price history, so you can make sure that the price history is stable, and that's really good to know. But once you're serious about getting replens, the paid version, it becomes 100% necessary, because you also, with the price history, you get the sales rank history, and you get the actual buy box pricing history. And you need to see those kind of things. You need to see, what the buy box price actually does over time. You want to see how often the product sells, and you can kind of get an idea of that by seeing the sales rank and how it changes over time. And to see if the pricing history and the sales rank history are both stable or if they are chaotic. Because Keepa, it shows you reality of what's going on right now and in the past. And you want to make sure that your sourcing decisions are not based on hope. They're not based on vibes. They're not based on wishes or hunches, but reality, because replens are built on reality. And when you get a chance to see the price history being stable, the sales rank being stable, those are important things for you to make in your decision process of buying replens.
Okay, the third tool in your Replen sourcing starter kit is going to be a listing platform. So there's different ways that you can list your items for sale on Amazon. And obviously the most common one is Amazon Seller Central. And it is perfectly fine. It is completely free. Many people use it and never move on to using something else. But once your volume starts increasing in what you're sending in, how many ASINs you send in a shipment, again, time can become a bottleneck, and speed is so important. Time is of the essence. And so that's where something like having a paid listing platform is going to be helpful. Having a listing platform like Inventory Lab is really important once you're managing dozens of SKUs and you're sending in hundreds of units per shipment. It's something to consider once you are sending in more than just a handful of items at a time, and especially because Inventory Lab has really great accounting and tracking software that can be used for other things other than just listings. So you don't need that on day one of selling on Amazon, but if you are setting up a Replen sourcing system, we highly recommend looking into it, because as you get more and more replens in your lineup, it is definitely worth the price to have something like Inventory Lab. We're going to get into a little bit more of that in a future tool that we're talking about in just a second, but the price for Seller 365 is more than worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you definitely need a scanning app. You need Keepa. You need a listing platform. And then you need a spreadsheet tracker. This one is very simple, but really powerful. And it's a way that you can track your replens. You can build up a basic spreadsheet in like Google Spreadsheets with columns including information like the ASIN and the buy price, the supplier, maybe a link to the website that you get it if you're buying online, notes, and then whatever kind of reorder information that you need. When you have all that stuff in one place and you actually keep track of it and you actually go back and look at that, it helps making buying those replens and restocking those replens that are starting to sell out a lot more doable and a lot easier to bring into actual reality.
Yeah, a replen tracking spreadsheet is very important to give you kind of that bird's eye view of what all you have in your inventory that you need to keep on reorder. And inside Momentum FBA, our students use the same replen tracking spreadsheet that we use inside our own business to manage our SKUs and to keep our lineup of replens organized and all of our reorder information organized. Because here's the truth. I say this with all love. Replens do not work if you are trying to keep track of it in your head or on a notepad or something like that. You have to have a system where you're keeping track of that list. Once you get beyond like 4 or 5 replens, you have to have a spreadsheet tracking system. I remember trying to like keep track of these type of things in my head of like, oh, I'm going to remember which ones need to be reordered. No, I'm not. And you aren't either unless you're some type of genius that has like photographic memory. But don't rely on that. Also, make your business so that you could hand it over to somebody else to do. And having a tracker is a really good start for that.
And the next tool of your sourcing kit is something that is so easy and so simple and actually so boring that most people just overlook it and don't follow through with it. And that's where they end up failing. And that is this: having a sourcing schedule. I mean, it sounds boring. It sounds like it's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal. I mean, it sounds like the least exciting part of this episode, but it is still the most important. And you don't need software for this. You just need a calendar. And so you should go to your calendar, whether it's on the wall or on your phone, and block out time, regular sourcing time. 2 main things, in fact. Number 1, regular sourcing time, and number 2, regular reorder time. And that's it. You heard me say it before. It's boring. Yes. But is it effective? 100%. And if you are only sourcing when you feel like it, then to be honest, you're just building up a hobby and not really a business that's going to make much money. Because here's the truth. Consistency, that is what brings the results.
That's right, especially consistency in sourcing. I just more and more feel like the system that people do not have in place, and that is what is causing their business to plateau and stagnate, is that they don't have a sourcing system in place. All right. So the next item in our Replen sourcing starter toolkit is reorder reminders. Speaking of that ordering system that you were talking about, you need to have some sort of system in place to kind of ping you when it's time to reorder. Again, if you've got like 2 or 3 items, maybe you can keep track of that in your head. But as your Replen list is growing, knowing when to reorder is really going to become a challenge. And if you miss out on reordering, you're going to be missing out on potential sales. You might go out of stock in a time where going out of stock is truly going to cause you lost money and lost opportunity. And it's not just the lost opportunity of those particular sales, but it's going to slow down your ability to build your profits snowball. So our free option for this one is just setting reminders on your phone, having an alarm system. That can really work fine, just setting those alerts as long as you have a small enough number of SKUs that you're trying to manage. So as you're getting this whole thing up and running, you can do it that way. But then once you're managing multiple replens, I would say over 10 or more, it's going to get messy. It's going to get cumbersome to have reminders on your phone. So that's where having built-in Replen notifications is going to really help. And that's where I'd mentioned before that we would come back to Inventory Lab, because they have a whole system for reordering notifications, and it can just make things go a lot smoother if you use a type of system like that, where you're tracking your inventory and you can put in your parameters for how much you have on hand and when to get those notifications to make a reorder. So we're not trying to make things complex. We're just trying to make it workable and reliable. And so don't add in extra tools unless you absolutely have to. If you have 2 replens, going out and getting some type of fancy reorder system is overkill. But when it's time, you want to make sure that you have that system in place so that you can keep track of your larger arsenal of replens.
Yeah, and just to speak a little bit about the restock report in Inventory Lab, it's super cool because let's just do an online arbitrage order for an example. You can think, okay, it takes about 3 or 4 days for an online arbitrage order to get to me, and then it takes about 2 or 3 days for me to actually send it to Amazon. And then it takes about 7 days for it to go live on Amazon. You can actually go into the restock report in Inventory Lab and say, I need this many days to be able to replenish my inventory. And so when your inventory starts to sell out, and Inventory Lab is keeping track of that for you automatically, it will ping you and say, it's time to restock this, and you've got this many days to get that done. And so you can have that reminder and actually follow through with that. So again, not a big deal to do that yourself if there's just 1 or 2 replens, but once you start getting some consistent replens in your Amazon business, this is a big helper that will help you out. And the next type of tool that really rounds out your Replen sourcing toolkit is a repricing system, because replens are only working for you if they are competitively priced. And so you have 2 options here. Number 1 is manual repricing, making sure you put that on your calendar and going in as often as possible to manually reprice. Again, 1 or 2 replens, that's not a big deal. But if you start getting multiple replens, you want to make sure that the prices are updated very often, and using an automated repricer tool like Be Cool that will help change your prices. You can set your minimum price, your maximum price, and then certain rules that Be Cool will use and follow to keep your inventory's items always competitively priced. That will help you out a ton because it'll help you sell things faster. Like if the items prices are tanking, you're able to adjust your price and sell those items. Or if your competitors are selling out and your price could be increased a little bit, then Be Cool will do that for you as well. And so having that taken care of, even the smallest, cheapest pricing structure at Be Cool updates your reprices every 15 minutes. I mean, we can't do that. We would be spending all day if we're updating our prices every 15 minutes. But Be Cool can do it every 15 minutes to always have your prices being priced competitively. So as your catalog grows, automating that, it will help out both your margins and your momentum, because nothing kills replens faster than stale prices.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, making sure that you don't miss out on any sales because you're out of stock or because you are not priced competitively is so important to keep your Replen system running smoothly. If you are not priced competitively, you really are kind of handcuffing yourself from making as much progress as you could in building your profit snowball.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our tools that we want to make sure that we have in our Replen Sourcing Starter Toolkit. So first, it's your scanning app. Second, you want to use Keepa data. Third is a good listing platform. Fourth is a spreadsheet tracker to keep track of all your replens. Fifth is a solid sourcing schedule. Number 6 is reorder reminders, and number 7 is a repricing system. And again, all of the links for anything that we mentioned that you might want to go and check out are going to be in the show notes for this episode, fulltimefba.com/326. So the big idea underneath all of this is that you really need to build a strong inventory of replenishable products in order to have a reliable income from Amazon if you're wanting to move from a side hustle into daily sales, which will give you a steady income and lead you to having a full-time income from your Amazon business. This is the way to get away from selling one-offs. Those one-offs do not win in the long run. You can really build up some great ROI in your early days of selling on Amazon, but if you are wanting to have a long-term, reliable, steady business that's not going to burn you out, those one-offs that you get from thrifting and garage sales and retail clearance are not going to cut it. You need a Replen sourcing system. And the system part of all of that is the part that we really are trying to emphasize. It's not flashy. It's an everyday thing that's not exciting. It's boring putting in place a system. But I mean, just honestly, I could use some boring in my life some days. I crave that stability. And so finding a repeatable process to find inventory that you can buy again and again, to sell again and again, to me, that is where it's at. And that's what a Replen sourcing system is for.
Yeah. And honestly, one of the best replens that you could have in your Amazon inventory are items that you buy directly from the brands. Having a wholesale relationship with a brand can really dramatically help you out in your Amazon business and help you find replens because you're buying directly from the brand. You're buying at the lowest possible prices and you don't have to worry about sale prices or clearance prices or anything like that. Most people are not going to be able to undercut you when it comes to prices because you're buying wholesale. And, you know, when you're working directly with those suppliers, you're not just hunting for opportunities and hoping that things are going to find profits. No, you're actually going to build access to inventory that you can reorder on a consistent basis. And if replens are all about predictability, then wholesale is one of the cleanest paths to get there. So if wholesale's been something you've been curious about or something that feels intimidating but intriguing, we have an upcoming free wholesale workshop where we walk you through how this actually works step by step. We don't give you unrealistic promises. We don't try to oversell you or anything. We're just going to have a clear path for sellers who want to build more stability in their business and want to try out wholesale and maybe overcome some fears that you have about trying to learn that or add that to your Amazon business. So to get more information and sign up for the wholesale workshop, just go to fulltimefba.com/wholesale workshop. And we will also link it up in the show notes for you so you can have that link and just click that button, fulltimefba.com/wholesale workshop.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. As a reminder, the show notes and all of the links that we have for you for this episode can be found at fulltimefba.com/326 because this is episode number 326. Wow, that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. And next time on the Full-Time FBA Show, we're going to talk about what successful Amazon sellers do differently that most don't do. And you might be thinking, oh, I know what they're going to talk about. No, I think you're wrong. You should go listen to this episode and find out for sure and see what you think. And if you are looking to be an Amazon successfully, and if you're looking to be a successful Amazon seller, this episode will help you. And we'll talk about that next time on the Full-Time FBA Show.
That's all for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. So head over to fulltimefba.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes and links from this episode. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter where you'll get several free downloads of our popular and helpful Amazon FBA resources. Now, take action on what you've learned today so you can find success at turning part-time hours into a full-time income with Amazon FBA.